Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dark Phoenix Gaming, and you are watching Kaiserreich with the Netherlands. Now, in the last episode, we sent off our expeditionary forces to the East Indies and succeeded in helping them put down the rebellion by Insulindia. And we're now moving those expeditionary forces back. Unfortunately, some of them have decided to walk across Middle Africa. For some bizarre reason. Rather than just go to the coast and get off that way, but this unfortunately means we have less divisions in Europe than I might like. And we're going to end up at war with the Frenchies pretty soon, because I just know that war is coming, because it's 1939. That's when the Wilt Creek traditionally happens. However, we're also in the process of recovering from Black Monday. And getting to be better at a lot of political stuff. So, now, I can unpause the game and get things going on. I guess. And as far as international affairs go, well, the Ottomans went to war with the Cairo Pact last time. So, they're fighting Egypt, Yemen, Cyrenaica, and Iran right now. They were fighting Kurdistan and Syria as well, but both of those have surrendered. So, multi-front war for the Ottomans, so we'll see how that develops. And the French Republic last time had multiple fucking rebellions that they put down by the natives. Apparently, Patan is not very good at keeping control of his natives. That's all that I can determine from that. He's just absolutely fucking awful at it. Decent at putting down those rebellions, mind you, but not so much at stopping them from happening in the first place. Which is the thing we kind of would rather be the case that he was good at. I mean, we would if we cared about France. We don't care about France. But all my divisions are sea-bound now, so they should make it back to the homeland in not too long. Hopefully. Unfortunately, we did have a complication last time in the syndicalism front, or on the syndicalism front rather, when the Iberian Federation joined France. So now the Internationale includes France, the British, Spain, Bolivia, and Mexico. So that's quite the big alliance. I don't like our chances against them, to be honest. I don't like our chances at all. Especially because it's basically a given that the Socialist Republic of Italy will be joining up. And the two Sicilies, who declared an offensive war on the Socialist Republic of Italy last time, are on the verge of collapse. At least it looked that way. Maybe they're pushing back a little. We'll see. But they're getting very close to Naples, the capital of the two Sicilies. But their war games have been cut off, and Rome and all that is now an isolated pocket. So maybe, just maybe, yeah, it looks like the two Sicilies is turning this around. And the Papal States, as an independent nation, isn't around anymore. Interesting. One of my agents has also been taken prisoner. You sure that's the first time that has happened? That we've lost an agent. And Commune France is justified. Ethiopia declares war on Somalia. Let's see. France is getting ready to demand Alsace-Lorraine. Yeah, it's going to be war, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be war. In fact, I'm going to replace our front line there with a fallback line of sorts. Een blij gezicht te zien, doet je toch goed. Vervul zo nu en dan hun liefste wensen. Een beetje levensvreugd, schenk nieuwe moed. Breng eens een zonnetje onder de mensen. Een blij gezicht te zien. Paired defense is now completed. So, I will pick up a grand assault. What's next? And right now, just 8 days till we recover from Black Monday. But yeah, what I was saying, right now, we have the option to formulate a policy on Belgium, but all that's going to give us is the ability to make claims on Flanders here, which we already have as a puppet state, so laying claim to them doesn't give us much. And they're finally starting to move down the path which will lead to their annexation. That's going to happen during the war, no doubt, so not going to be great for us. Or really give us that much. King Edward abdicates the throne. In a move seen by many as inevitable, King Edward VIII today announced by a radio broadcast he had abdicated the throne in favor of his younger brother, Prince Albert, or just giving up the throne to marry American film star Constance Bennett, who he met in Canada when she fled during the American Civil War. Twice divorced and currently still married, Bennett was seen as unsuitable for a king who was also the head of the Church of England. which does not permit divorcees to remarry, and Edward was unwilling to give her up for any reason. Prince Albert, viewed by many as a quiet and socially awkward man, set to be coronated as King Albert I, inheriting the rule over a British Empire that is vastly different from that of his grandfathers. A new British king? Goodness, how many has this been now? 10? 20? I'm being sarcastic, of course, but that is a lot of British kings, yes. Let's see. Restore pre-crisis regulations and control inflation have both been bypassed as a result of us finishing that. Interesting. That's gotten rid of some of the problems we were having economically. The next thing worth doing, I would say, however, is to repay the government's debts. It'll take 42 days and get rid of that national spirit. It's an unfortunate fact of life that money does not grow on trees, and the government has been forced to issue a number of bonds and requested loans from foreign investors to fill the void. It's imperative that we pay these debts off sooner rather than later. That will take 42 days to complete. Austria-Hungary federalizes. Interesting. I've seen this one a few times before, and it's very rare that Austria-Hungary doesn't just stay as the default status of just being a bunch of different puppet states. But anyways, for the past few decades, the Austro-Hungarian Empire has decentralized authority from Vienna and Budapest, most prominently with the creation of Illyria in 1927. Now that process has taken another great leap forward, with the creation of the United States of Greater Austria. The monarchy has restructured its internal structures to be more representative, while institutionally bringing its lands closer together. With the replacement of a decentralized squabbling empire with a unified state, the balance of power in Europe has shifted against even, all enemies of the status quo and the Habsburgs. Will it truly change anything, though? It is the Habsburgs, after all. Competence isn't exactly one of their biggest talents. And in Italy, it looks like things have gone back to the status quo, pretty much. Greece declares war on Serbia. Sorry, what? And it looks like Bulgaria ended up piecing out with Romania and Greece without actually taking any losses. But they're still fighting Serbia. Now Greece wants to attack Serbia? Huh? What the hell? Honestly, the fuck is going on here? And the Socialist Republic of Italy has annexed the Italian Republic. And they've reoccupied Rome. And reconnected it to their land, so... Fuck. Let's get another one in there. Yeah, things have been touch and go in Italy for a while now, but... it's quite likely that the socialists will win that war. But now we have the Alsace Ultimatum. They're months of low-intensity skirmishes and diplomatic game, playing on the German-French border. The two behemoths are poised on the edge of potentially the most brutal conflict mankind has known since the dark days of the Weltkrieg. In a shocking escalation, the Communard government in Paris openly demanded the return of the German-controlled Alsace-Lotharingen, seized after the War of 1871 by the victorious Reich. Flaunting international norms, a single squadron of French planes flew into German airspace, dropping thousands of leaflets detailing their grievances, much to the chagrin of the Reich's general staff. Such actions are sure to outrage public opinion in Berlin, and even now mobilization efforts are underway. At this point, it seems unlikely that a second Weltkrieg can be avoided. The world is indeed on a precipice. And yes, I think the war is about to begin. I do indeed. Commune of France has declared war on the German Empire. That didn't take long. Didn't take long at all. And now, Germany wants to call us to arms. We did join their alliance. Much as I would have liked to just sit this out, I don't think we really can. So we will join the Weltkrieg. We are now at war. I've not even been able to up our mobilization law either because we have negative political power. That's going to be problematic. Second Weltkrieg. The Weltkrieg claimed the lives of countless young men from all over the world in a conflict on an industrial scale, but it appears that even that nightmare could not deter man's lust for blood. After over 20 years of proxy warfare, diplomatic pressure, and political squabbles, the uneasy peace between Germany and France has broken down. These two great powers are now mobilizing their armies preparation for a war the likes of which the world has never seen. New guns, planes, ships, tanks, and deadlier weapons still see their first use on the battlefield. As open warfare begins once more in Europe. For the Germans and the French, there can be only one end. Now, victory or destruction. Indeed. And both sides are calling in basically everybody at this point. And Poland has joined in. Since due to some bug magic, they are not syndicalist anymore. But also, Russia is preparing to get involved. So there's going to be a two-front war going on here. This could be quite bad. This could be quite bad. And being smack dab in the middle of everyone, I don't really have an option to sit this out, I'm afraid. They would just, whoever won would just decide we should be their puppet or something, most likely. Looks like there's being an advance going on right now. Over here. Pull our troops back. Slightly narrower front line, and it's not quite so much on the front. Balls. Commune of France has done a naval invasion of The Hague. And they're about to take Amsterdam. All forces pull back to the homeland. Amsterdam has fallen. Oh fuck. It's the Venice of the North. Amsterdam has long been admired for its beautiful canals and port. This golden age of finance and trade may be long gone. The city remains a timeless European treasure of prosperity and the arts. Apparently, Amsterdam has now become a battlefield. Refugees fleeing in all directions, and it is reported that after a fierce engagement, the Dutch defenders have declared Amsterdam an open city, following a successful campaign from the Communards forces. Dark time for the Dutch people indeed. Okay, everyone attack. Those are my orders. But we've repaid the government debts, so hooray, I guess? Not the thing you really want to be celebrating at a time like this, I know. Although, economic boom. Just the right amount of interference and hands-off approach, our economy has become less a shadow of its former self than an outright phoenix. Holland is standing strong. Oh yes. Unfortunate that thing was our front line, but I think the homeland is the most important thing right now. Come on. Canada has declared war on the Union of Britain. As expected. As expected. Called in the French Republic in the reclamation of the home islands. Well, it's not an inaccurate war name, is it? Also, they've called in India, who won't really be helping much due to the fact that India is currently fighting a defensive war against the Japanese and the Princely Federation. Russian Republic has declared war on Azerbaijan. Oh, well, this is unfortunate. I'll let the Dutch East Indies join in. Flanders wants to join as well. Okay. But now, come on guys. Attack. And Amsterdam is ours again. Yes. Yes it is. So with that particular mess now dealt with, I'm going to redeploy the army over here. As a bunch of people jump in on Canada's war. Russia intervenes in the Weltkrieg, or Weltkrieg, as apparently I'm supposed to say it. Not that I'm actually gonna do that, mind you. Relations between Russia and Germany have been poor ever since the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. Widely considered a national humiliation by the former, tore and transformed the lands under her rule into German client states. Not with the scars of the Weltkrieg still marking her, many hoped that the Russian Eagle would be forced to surrender her aspirations in the West. Today, these hopes have been mercilessly dashed as soldiers of the Russian Republic begin marching once more through Eastern Europe. Peter Wrangel has consequently announced a state of war with the German Empire, swearing to restore the nation's honor and calling for national unity to enthusiastic crowds at Red Square. Russia is a rump state. We will crush them with ease. I wouldn't go around saying that. Doesn't matter how true or untrue it is. It's Russia. And I have a feeling things will not go well. In that regard, the Entente and Reichspakt to meet. Both the Entente and Reichspakt, now at war with the Third Internationale, the Dominion of Canada has called for a conference between their leaders in the Canadian city of Halifax in order to discuss the possibility of cooperation, and the German Empire has agreed. While it is currently unclear how far such cooperation would go, it seems worth the attempt. Representatives from the Netherlands has been asked to attend. We'll be there. Yes, we'll see how this one goes. I don't feel like it's going to be an awfully positive outcome, just because I've seen the outcome of this event many times, and in all of my games of Kaiserreich, I've only seen a mutually beneficial agreement reached between the two parties one time in more than 400 hours, which should tell you something about how unlikely it is for them to come to terms. It generally does not happen. I'm not saying it can't, but it's fairly unlikely. Back on our defensive line. I generally feel like holding a river is going to give me better odds than trying to hold the entire front. Even if I generally do not like our chances in this war, just given the sheer amount of enemy manpower being utilized. And apparently Portugal is in on this as well. They're a member of the Entente, so I guess it makes sense. Now we have the Halifax Conference. Leaders from the Entente and Reichspakt gathered in Halifax today in order to discuss the possibility of cooperation. What this cooperation would consist of would not be difficult to ascertain. Military and naval access between all members, but more importantly for the Entente, the willingness on the part of the Reichspakt to stay out of both France and Great Britain once the war is done. This would allow for a swift return to Europe for the French and British exiled governments, the ultimate goal of both. Now a single question hangs over the conference. Would the German Empire even agree to such terms? And if so, what would they ask in return? It's a very good question, so let's see what they respond with. And just like I predicted, the Socialist Republic of Italy has joined. And things in Italy are back into Stalemate-ville again. Swings and roundabouts over in Italy, swings and roundabouts. And Ethiopia has declared war on Eritrea. They must have figured the Ottomans were having so much fun with a two-front war, they needed one of their own. or Eritrea rebelled against them. Also that. Ethiopia's only gain in the Weltkrieg, the prized coastal possession of Eritrea, is now in open revolt. Disgruntled by oppression, disrespect, overtaxation, now war. The oppressed Muslim and Christian forces of the nation have rallied under one flag and wish to free their country. The Emperor of Abyssinia has already reacted with outrage, and the Eritrean War of Independence has begun. As all the pieces are set on the table, the region watches closely. Will this be the chance Somalia needs in this time of war to seize victory? Will Abyssinia manage to keep its only coastal port? Or will the bravery of the outrageous rebels prevail? Interesting. We'll see where that one goes. Of course, I won't be watching it too closely, but it's something to keep an eye on. The French Republic renounces Alsace-Lorraine. Shockingly, the French delegates have agreed, after much discussion with the Germans, to publicly renounce their claim to Alsace-Lorraine if the Germans agree to the Halifax Conference's Treaty of Cooperation. And considering the humiliation involved for the French to do so, it speaks much of how much they believe the treaty will help their return to the continent. How very unexpected. Like I said, I've seen that happen before, but it was only the one time. That's the only time that's ever happened. And on a single occasion. So, it's not a frequent occurrence, but it has happened. Making a push in Flanders, it seems. But for now, I think we're going to end it here for this particular episode. The war has kicked off, and we have an agreement in place with the French and the Canadians. The French, who are still fighting against Niger and Chad. We've got that agreement in place. So we're not fighting this war by ourselves, even if I still don't particularly like our chances. So next time, we'll pick this up and see how things go. I'm primarily going to be playing a defensive and supportive role here, so you shouldn't expect me to be going on the attack much. We'll mostly be defending our positions and trying to hold back the Third Internationale where we can. You should expect some retreating. Bunker lines. Our defensive lines here aren't fully constructed, but working on it. So hopefully we can at least keep the front tied up until those are ready. And then use that combined with inundation lines to have some strong defenses to fall back on. Even if we do end up having to abandon like half of our country, as well as our puppet state, to hold back the Frenchies. In any case, this has been Dark Phoenix Gaming. You've been watching Kaiserreich with the Netherlands. If you've enjoyed this, then please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to see more like this. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. See you then, folks. See you then.